Don't you dare touch him with those bloody hands. Alda's voice rang through the silent restaurant like a gunshot. Every head turned, every conversation died. Lorenzo Moretti, the man who controlled half of Chicago's underworld, froze with his hand inches from his son's trembling shoulder. The boy Leo sat rigid in his chair, mouth open in a soundless scream, water dripping from his father's $1,000 shoes. The glass had shattered. The panic attack had started. And Alda Romano, a broke waitress with student loans drowning her, had just done the one thing nobody ever did to Lorenzo Moretti. She told him no. Before we go further, hit that subscribe button right now. This story gets wild, and you need to see where it goes. Drop a comment with your city. I want to know how far this tale travels. Now let's get into it. You've got 3 seconds to step back. Lorenzo's voice was a blade wrapped in silk. 3, 2, or what you'll shoot me in front of your son. Alda didn't move from between them. Her heart hammered against her ribs, but her voice stayed steady. Look at him. Really look at him. Lorenzo's black eyes flicked to Leo. The boy's face had gone white, his pupils blown wide with terror. His small hands clutched the edge of the table so hard his knuckles were bloodless. He's having a panic attack, Alda said. Severe, and if you touch him right now, while he's in this state, you'll make it worse. Much worse. How dare you? I'm a trauma therapist. The lie came out smooth. She wasn't anymore, not since her clinic shut down 6 months ago. But Lorenzo didn't need to know that. Or I was, and I know what I'm seeing. Marco Lorenzo's head of security moved toward her. His hand went to his jacket. Marco, stand down. Lorenzo's voice cut through the air. Marco stopped, but his hand stayed where it was. Alda dropped to her hands beside Leo's chair, making herself small, non-threatening. Leo, my name is Alda. You don't know me, but I'm going to help you, okay? I need you to breathe with me. She pressed her hand to her own chest, made her breathing visible. Exaggerated. In 2, 3, 4. Hold. 2, 3, 4. Leo's eyes found hers. Terrified. Desperate. That's it, sweetheart. Watch me. In 2, 3, 4. His chest stuttered, trying to match hers. Perfect. You're doing so good. Out. 2, 3, 4. Around them, the restaurant was a frozen tableau. 50 people holding their breath, watching a waitress try not to die. Again. In 2, 3, 4. Leo's shoulder started to drop, millimeter by millimeter. Miss Romano. Lorenzo's voice came from directly above her. She hadn't heard him move. What do you think you're doing? Saving your son from a full-blown psychotic break. Alda kept her eyes on Leo. Keep breathing, honey. You're safe. Nobody's going to hurt you. I would never hurt my son. Then why is he terrified of you? The words were out before Alda could stop them. The silence that followed could have shattered diamonds. Out. 2, 3, 4. Alda's voice never wavered. Amen, that's my brave boy. One more time. Leo's breathing evened out. His death grip on the table loosened. There we go. Alda smiled at him. See, you did it. You're okay. Leo's eyes filled with tears. They spilled over, tracking down his pale cheeks in silent rivers. It's okay to cry, Alda whispered. Crying is good. It means you're letting it out. She wanted to hug him. Every instinct screamed at her to pull this broken child into her arms and tell him everything would be okay. But she couldn't. Not yet. Touch was complicated with trauma victims. She learned that the hard way. Can you stand? She asked gently. Leo nodded, just barely. Alda stood with him, keeping herself between the boy and his father. Where's the bathroom? Wise be mimicked, Lorenzo Moretti, because he's about to throw up, and I'm guessing you don't want that to happen on your shoes. She looked at Marco. Bathroom, now. Marco glanced at Lorenzo. Lorenzo gave the smallest nod. This way. Marco led them through the restaurant, past tables full of frozen diners, past the kitchen, where staff pressed against the walls. The bathroom was all marble and gold fixtures, obscenely fancy. Alda got Leo to the sink just as his stomach rebelled. He vomited once, twice, his small body heaving. It's okay, she murmured, holding his shoulder steady. Get it all out. When he finished, she wet a paper towel and wiped his face. Better. Leo nodded. His eyes were huge, dark, still filled with fear. What happened back there when the glass broke that reminded you of something bad, didn't it? Leo went rigid. It's okay. You don't have to talk about it. Alda crouched to his level. But I need you to know something. Whatever happened, whatever you're remembering, it's not happening right now. You're safe. This is just a restaurant. Just a normal night. The scary thing is over. Leo's mouth opened. For one heart-stopping second, Alda thought he might speak. But no sound came out. Just air. Just silence. You can't talk, she said softly. It wasn't a question. Leo shook his head. Fresh tears came. How long? He held up one finger, then four more. 14 months. Alda felt her chest tighten. Oh, sweetheart. The bathroom door opened. Lorenzo filled the doorway, his presence sucking all the air from the room. He's fine. Alda stood, putting herself between them again. But we need to talk. Somewhere private, without him. Lorenzo's jaw clenched. I don't take orders from. I'm not ordering. I'm telling you what your son needs. Alda met his eyes. Do you want to help him or not? Another silence. Then Marco, take Leo to the car. No, Alda's hand shot out, gripped Leo's shoulder. He stays with me until we're done talking. You don't give a damn about boundaries, do you? Not when a child is in crisis. She felt Leo trembling under her palm. And your son is very much in crisis. Lorenzo stared at her, really stared, like he was seeing her for the first time. Fine. He stepped back. Marco, wait outside. Nobody comes in. Marco left. The door closed. Lorenzo leaned against the marble counter, arms crossed. Talk. Your son has PTSD, severe acute, probably from a single traumatic event. The selective mutism is a trauma response. His body is protecting him from something his mind can't process. Alda kept her voice clinical, professional. What happened to him? That's none of your business. It is if you want me to help him. I never said I wanted your help. Then why are we having this conversation? Alda tilted her head. You could have had Marco drag me out of here 10 minutes ago. Shot me in an alley, made me disappear, but you didn't. Why? Lorenzo's eyes flicked to Leo, because he's looking at you like you're the first person who's understood him in over a year. The admission seemed to cost him. His hands curled into fists, uncurled, curled again. Then tell me what happened, Alda pressed. I can't help him if I don't know what I'm working with. Car bomb. The words came out flat. Dead. 14 months ago. Killed his mother instantly. Leo was in the back seat. He saw everything. Oh, God. Alda's stomach dropped, and the glass breaking. Triggers him. Loud noises, sudden movements. Anything that reminds him of the explosion. Lorenzo's voice never changed tone, but his knuckles went white. He's seen 6 therapists, 3 psychiatrists, 2 specialists from Hopkins. Nobody could help him. And now you think I can? You just did. In 5 minutes. What none of them could do in 6 months. Lorenzo pushed off the counter, moved closer. Too close. Alda could smell expensive cologne and danger. How much do you make at this restaurant? Excuse me? Answer the question. $30,000 a year, plus tips. Why? Lorenzo pulled out his phone, typed something, turned the screen toward her. Alda looked at the number, looked away, looked back. That's not real. $200,000 per month to work with my son. Lorenzo's voice was steel. 6 months, full time. You move into the mansion, you dedicate yourself to Leo's recovery, and when he's better, when he can talk again, when he can sleep through the night without screaming, you walk away with enough money to pay off every debt you have and start over. That's insane. That's the offer. He pocketed his phone. Take it or leave it. Alda's mind raced. $200,000 a month, $1,200,000 total. She could pay off her student loans, her mother's medical bills, the credit cards drowning her. She could start over. Really start over. But this was Lorenzo Moretti, the Mafia, the kind of world where car bombs killed mothers and traumatized children. I need guarantees, she heard herself say, such as, I work on my terms, no interference, no guards standing over us during sessions, no guns around Leo. She straightened her spine. And when the 6 months are up, I walk away. Free and clear, no strings, no obligations, no convenient accidents. Something flickered in Lorenzo's eyes. Respect maybe, or amusement. Done. Just like that. Just like that. He extended his hand. Do we have a deal, Miss Romano? Alda looked at his hand, at Leo, who was watching them with huge, hopeful eyes. At the future she could have if she just said yes. She shook his hand. We have a deal. Lorenzo's grip was firm, warm. He held on a second too long. Welcome to the family, he said quietly. You start Monday. Monday morning, Alda stood outside the Moretti mansion with 2 suitcases and a lot of regrets. The house was obscene, 3 stories of stone and glass sprawling across what had to be 5 acres. Gates, guards, cameras everywhere, the kind of wealth that felt illegal just to look at. Miss Romano, Marco appeared from nowhere, made her jump. Mr. Moretti is waiting. Great, Alda picked up her suitcases. Where's Leo? In his room, where he always is. Something in Marco's tone made her pause. Does he ever come out? Not if he can help it. Marco took her suitcases despite her protest. This way. He led her through a foyer that belonged in Versailles, up a sweeping staircase down a hallway lined with art worth more than her life. Stopped at a door. Your room. Leo's is next door. Mr. Moretti's office is downstairs, second door on the left. Marco set down her suitcases. Dinner is at 7. Don't be late. Is that a rule or a threat? With Mr. Moretti, there's no difference. Marco's face stayed blank. Good luck, Miss Romano. You'll need it. He left. Alda stood alone in a bedroom 3 times the size of her apartment. King bed, sitting area, ensuite bathroom with a tub that could fit 4 people. Windows overlooking gardens that probably required a full-time staff. This was insane, all of it. A knock on the door made her turn. Lorenzo stood in the doorway, somehow making a simple black shirt and jeans look like a threat. Settled in. Hi, Mom. I've been here 5 minutes. Then you're behind schedule. He stepped inside, closed the door behind him. We need to discuss Leo's routine. We need to discuss boundaries. Alda crossed her arms. Starting with you not coming into my bedroom. It's my house. I go where I want. Then get ready for me to walk. 6 months, remember, I can leave anytime. Lorenzo's eyes narrowed. Then incredibly he smiled. You really don't back down, do you? Not when someone's trying to intimidate me. She met his gaze. Now about Leo's routine. He wakes at 7, breakfast at 8, though he barely eats. Spends most of the day in his room. Won't go outside, won't play with other children. Won't let anyone touch him except his nanny, and even that's rare. Lorenzo's voice went flat. He draws, constantly, always the same thing. The explosion? Over and over, different angles, different perspectives, like he's trying to understand it, make sense of it. Lorenzo moved to the window, stared out at the gardens. He has nightmares every night, wakes up screaming, but no sound comes out. Just silence, just terror. Alda's heart cracked. Has anyone tried art therapy? Therapy number 4 lasted 3 sessions before he refused to participate. What about play therapy, trauma-focused CBT, MDR? All of it. Every damn thing. Lorenzo's hands fisted against the window frame. Nothing works. He just gets worse. Then we try something different. Like what? Like actually listening to him. Alda moved closer. All these therapists, these specialists, they were trying to fix him. But Leo doesn't need to be fixed. He needs to be heard. He doesn't talk. He communicates through his art, through his body language, through the things he won't do. She stood beside Lorenzo, looked out at the same view. I just need to learn his language. Lorenzo turned to look at her. They were close enough that she could see the gold flecks in his dark eyes, the small scar above his left eyebrow. Why are you really doing this? He asked quietly. It's not just the money. No, it's not. Alda took a breath. My little brother died when I was 16. Car accident. He was 7. And for weeks after, I couldn't talk. Literally couldn't make my voice work. Everyone kept pushing me to speak, to process, to move on. But I wasn't ready. I needed time, space, someone to just sit with me in the silence. Lorenzo's expression shifted. Who sat with you? My grandmother. She was a painter. Never said a word about the accident. Just set up 2 canvases in her studio and let me paint. Alda smiled sadly. Took me 3 months, but eventually I started talking again. And painting became my way of processing grief. And you think Leo needs the same thing. I think Leo needs someone who isn't scared of his silence. Someone who can meet him where he is not where everyone thinks he should be. She looked at Lorenzo. I think he needs someone who understands that healing isn't linear, that some days will be good and some days will be terrible, and that's okay. And you're that someone. I'm going to try to be. Lorenzo held her gaze for a long moment. Then his room, I'll take you. He led her next door, knocked twice, and opened it without waiting for an answer. Leo, someone's here to see you. Leo sat on his bed, sketch pad in his lap, pencil frozen mid-stroke. When he saw Alda, his eyes widened. Hey, sweetheart. Alda moved into the room slowly. Remember me? Leo nodded, set down his pencil. I'm going to be staying here for a while. Is that okay with you? Another nod, slower this time, uncertain. I brought you something. Alda pulled a wrapped package from her bag. Can I give it to you? Leo looked at his father. Lorenzo nodded. The boy reached out, took the package with trembling hands. Go ahead, open it. Leo tore the paper carefully. Inside was a blank journal, thick, expensive paper, and a set of professional art pencils. The good kind. The kind that cost serious money. Leo's breath caught. I thought maybe you might want new materials, Alda said softly. These are artist grade, way better than what you've been using. Leo looked up at her, eyes shining. Do you like them? He nodded frantically, clutched the pencils to his chest. Good, because I want you to draw something for me. Not the explosion, not the fire, something that makes you happy. A memory from before. Can you do that? Leo hesitated. Then he opened the journal, selected a pencil, and started to draw. Alda watched his hand move across the page. Slow at first, then faster. More confident. What emerged was a woman. Beautiful, laughing, holding a smaller Leo in her arms. Your mom, Alda whispered. Leo nodded. A tear hit the page, smudged the pencil lines. She was beautiful. You have her eyes. The boy's hand shook. He drew faster, adding details. A garden behind them, flowers everywhere. Sunshine that felt warm even on paper. Where is this? Alda asked. Leo pointed at the window. The gardens below. You played there with her. Yes. The nod was emphatic. Do you want to go there now with me? Leo's face shuddered. He shook his head violently, pulled back. Okay. It's okay. We don't have to. Alda sat down on the floor, made herself small again. We can stay right here, as long as you need. From the doorway, Lorenzo watched. His expression was unreadable. Leo kept drawing, page after page. His mother in the garden, his mother reading to him, his mother tucking him into bed. Never his father, Alda noticed. She'd bet everything Lorenzo noticed too. When Leo finally stopped his hand cramping, he'd filled 7 pages. All of them were his mother. All of them were love. These are incredible, Alda said honestly. You're really talented, Leo. The boy looked at her. Then slowly, deliberately, he tore out the first drawing, his mother laughing in the garden, and handed it to her. For me, Alda's throat tightened. Are you sure? Leo nodded, pressed it into her hands. Thank you. She held the drawing like it was made of glass. I'll treasure this, I promise. Leo smiled. Small, fragile, but real. Behind them, Lorenzo made a sound. When Alda looked back, his eyes were wet. He left without a word. That night at dinner, the dining room felt cavernous. A table that could seat 20 set for 3. Alda, Lorenzo, and an empty chair with Leo's name on the place card. He doesn't come to dinner, Lorenzo said, reading her expression. Hasn't in over a year. Then why set a place for him? Hope, maybe. Stupidity. Lorenzo poured wine, didn't offer her any. Or guilt. Guilt. My wife died because of me. My son can't speak because of me. This entire nightmare exists because I made enemies who wanted to hurt me and didn't care who got caught in the crossfire. He drank. So yes, guilt. Alda studied him across the table. In the candlelight, Lorenzo looked older, tired, human. You loved her, she said quietly. Your wife. More than anything. Tell me about her. Why? Because Leo needs to hear you talk about her. Not just remember her in silence. Actually speak her name, share the good memories, keep her alive in more than just drawings and nightmares. Alda leaned forward. He's drowning in grief, Lorenzo, and he thinks he's alone in it. He's not alone. Lorenzo stopped, shook his head. I don't know how to talk to him about her. Every time I try, I see the explosion, see her dying, see him in the back seat too scared to scream. Then we practice, here, now. Tell me one good memory. Lorenzo was silent so long Alda thought he wouldn't answer. Then she hated guns, absolutely refused to let me keep them in the house even though it was dangerous. Stupid, reckless. His voice softened. But she'd stand there 5 feet tall, arms crossed, and tell me that if I wanted weapons under her roof, I could sleep outside. And I always put them in the safe, every time. Alda smiled. She sounds formidable. She was. Lorenzo's eyes went distant. She made me laugh. Real laughter, not the fake shit I do for business. She called me on my bullshit. Challenged me. Made me want to be better. Did you tell Leo these things? No. Why not? Because every good memory is also a reminder of what he lost, what I took from him. Lorenzo set down his glass. How do I tell my son his mother was amazing when I'm the reason she's dead? You weren't the one who planted the bomb. I was the target. Same thing. It's not, Alda met his eyes. And Leo needs to know that. He needs to understand that what happened wasn't anyone's fault except the people who did it. That his mother loved him. That you love him. That grief is okay, but it doesn't have to be silent and solitary. You make it sound simple. It's not. It's the hardest thing you'll ever do. She paused, but it's also the only way through. Lorenzo stared at her, then abruptly he stood. Come with me. Where? Just come. He led her through the mansion up another flight of stairs to a door that was clearly never opened. Dust on the handle, sealed with memories. This was her room, Lorenzo said. I haven't been inside since the funeral. Lorenzo. He opened the door. The room was frozen in time, clothes still in the closet, books on the nightstand, a half-finished cup of tea on the dresser, now just dried residue. Isabella. Lorenzo's voice cracked on the name. Her name was Isabella. Alda stepped inside slowly. The room smelled faintly of perfume and sadness. She painted, like your grandmother. Lorenzo moved to the closet, pulled out a canvas. A portrait of Leo as a baby done in soft watercolors. She was good. Really good. I kept telling her to sell them, show them in galleries. But she said she only painted for love, not money. That's beautiful. There are more. Lorenzo pulled out canvas after canvas. Leo at different ages. The gardens, the house, and one intimate private of Lorenzo, sleeping vulnerable in a way he never was awake. She saw you, Alda whispered. Really saw you. She was the only one who did. Lorenzo set down the paintings, and now she's gone and Leo can't talk and I don't know how to fix any of it. You can't fix it, but you can live through it. Alda moved closer. Together, as a family, that's what Isabella would want, isn't it? How would you know? Because she painted this. Alda pointed to the portrait of sleeping Lorenzo. She saw you at your most vulnerable and loved you anyway. That's not the kind of woman who'd want her death to destroy what's left of her family. Lorenzo's jaw worked. You didn't know her. No, but I know love when I see it. Alda gestured to the paintings. And this is love, Lorenzo. So much love it hurts to look at. He turned away, but not before she saw tears. Let's take these to Leo, Alda said gently. Let him see his mother's work. Let him know she lives on in more than just his nightmares. He'll break down. Maybe, or maybe he'll find comfort. She picked up the painting of baby Leo. Either way, he deserves to see them. Lorenzo didn't respond, just stood there, shoulders shaking with silent grief that probably hadn't been released in 14 months. Alda made a choice. She set down the painting and put her hand on his shoulder. It's okay, she whispered. You're allowed to fall apart. Lorenzo broke. It wasn't loud, wasn't dramatic, just quiet, devastating sobs that shook his entire body. He sank to the floor, hands covering his face, and let out 14 months of grief he'd been too strong to show anyone. And Alda sat with him in his dead wife's room and let him shatter. Because that's what healing looked like. When Lorenzo finally lifted his head, his eyes were red but clear. He stood without a word, gathered 3 of Isabella's paintings, and walked out of the room. Alda followed, her heart pounding against her ribs. They stopped outside Leo's door. Lorenzo hesitated, his hand on the knob. What if he... Then we deal with it. Alda's voice was firm. Together. Lorenzo knocked, waited, pushed the door open. Leo was still awake, sitting cross-legged on his bed with his new journal open. He looked up as saw the canvases in his father's arms and went completely still. Piccolo, Lorenzo's voice cracked. I brought you something of your mother's. He set the paintings down carefully, turned the first one to face Leo, the watercolor portrait of baby Leo in Isabella's arms. The journal slipped from Leo's hands. His mouth opened in that silent scream Alda was learning to recognize. Your mama painted this when you were 6 months old. Lorenzo continued, and Alda could hear the effort it took to keep talking. She spent 3 weeks getting your eyes exactly right. Said they were the most beautiful things she'd ever seen. Leo's hands trembled. He reached toward the painting, stopped, pulled back. It's okay to touch it, Alda said softly. It's yours. Leo's fingers brushed the canvas, traced the outline of his mother's face. A sob broke from his throat, soundless, devastating. She loved you so much, Lorenzo whispered. Every single day she loved you. Leo crawled across the bed, grabbed the painting, and clutched it to his chest. His whole body shook with silent crying. Lorenzo looked at Alda, helpless. Sit with him, she mouthed. Lorenzo climbed onto the bed, big, dangerous Lorenzo Moretti sitting on dinosaur sheets, and pulled his son into his lap. Leo fought for maybe 2 seconds, then collapsed against his father's chest and cried like his heart was breaking all over again. I've got you, Lorenzo murmured into Leo's hair. I've got you, Piccolo. I'm here. I'm not going anywhere. Alda backed toward the door, giving them privacy. Stay. Lorenzo's voice stopped her. Please. So she stayed, sat in the chair by Leo's bookshelf and watched a Mafia boss hold his broken son and finally grieve. It took an hour before Leo cried himself out. He didn't let go of the painting, just curled up against Lorenzo's chest, still gripping the canvas, and closed his eyes. Is he asleep? Lorenzo asked quietly. Alda moved closer, checked. Almost. I haven't held him like this in months. He wouldn't let me. He needed to be angry at you, for surviving when his mother didn't, for being there when she wasn't. Alda sat on the edge of the bed, but anger gets exhausting. Eventually, grief is all that's left. How do you know all this? Because I was angry too, at my grandmother for not saving my brother, at Rod for taking him, at myself for not being in the car. She watched Leo's face relax into sleep. Anger is easier than sadness, but it doesn't heal anything. Lorenzo's hand moved slowly through Leo's hair. The gesture was so tender, it made Alda's throat tight. Will he be okay? Lorenzo asked. Eventually, with time and work and a lot of hard days. She met his eyes. But yes, he'll be okay. And me? The question surprised her. What about you? Will I be okay? Alda studied his face, this man who killed for a living, who just cried on his dead wife's floor, who was holding his son like he was made of spun glass. I don't know, she said honestly. Do you want to be... Lorenzo didn't answer, just held his son tighter. At midnight, Alda tried to leave. Lorenzo stopped her at the door. He has nightmares. Every night around 3. His voice was rough from crying. When he wakes up, he'll be terrified, confused. He'll need... I'll stay, Alda heard herself say. I'll sleep in the chair. If he needs me, I'll be here. You don't have to. I know. She moved back to the chair, tucked her legs under her. Go get some sleep, Lorenzo. I've got him. Lorenzo looked like he wanted to argue. Instead, he bent down, kissed Leo's forehead, and left without another word. Alda settled into the chair, pulled a blanket from Leo's shelf, and watched the boy sleep. His face was peaceful for the first time since she'd met him. The painting of his mother lay beside him on the pillow. She must have dozed off because the next thing she knew, Leo was gasping. Not screaming, he couldn't do that, but gasping, thrashing, fighting invisible flames. Alda was at his side in seconds. Leo, it's okay. You're safe. It's just a dream. His eyes were open but unseeing, trapped in the nightmare. Listen to my voice. Come back to me. She took his hands, held them firmly. In 2, 3, 4. Leo's eyes focused, found hers. His chest heaved. That's it. Breathe with me. 2, 3, 4. His hands squeezed hers so hard it hurt. She didn't pull away. You're in your room, in your bed. The scary thing isn't real. It's just your brain remembering. But you're safe now. I promise you're safe. Leo's breathing slowed. His grip loosened slightly. Do you want me to turn on the light? He shook his head. Okay. Dark is fine, I'm right here. She sat on the edge of his bed. Do you want to try to go back to sleep? Another head shake, more emphatic. That's okay too. We can stay awake. Alda thought fast. Want to hear a story about when I was your age? Leo nodded. Okay. So when I was 8, I had this absolutely ridiculous fear of thunderstorms. Not the thunder, just the lightning. I thought it was going to come through my window and get me. She smiled at the memory. My grandmother told me lightning was just the sky taking photographs. And every time it flashed, I should smile because I was getting my picture taken. Leo's mouth curved, almost a smile. So the next storm I stood at my window and smiled at every flash. My mom thought I'd lost my mind, but I felt braver, like I was in control of something that scared me. She squeezed his hands gently. Your nightmares are kind of like my lightning. They feel dangerous, but they're just your brain taking pictures of something that already happened. They can't hurt you now. Leo considered this. Then he picked up his journal, wrote something, and showed her. Does it get better? Alda's chest ached. Yes, sweetheart. It gets better. I promise. When I don't know exactly, but I'll be here with you until it does. Leo stared at her for a long moment. Then he did something that shocked them both. He leaned forward and hugged her. Alda froze. Then carefully, slowly, she wrapped her arms around this broken boy and held on. I've got you, she whispered. You're going to be okay. Leo's shoulders shook, but this time he wasn't crying. He was just holding on. They stayed like that until dawn broke through the windows, painting the room in soft gold light. And when Leo finally pulled back, his eyes were clearer than Alda had ever seen them. He picked up his journal again, wrote carefully, showed her. Thank you. You're welcome, brave boy. Alda smiled. Now how about we go raid the kitchen? I bet we can find something chocolate before your dad wakes up. Leo's eyes lit up. He scrambled out of bed, grabbed her hand, and pulled her toward the door. Downstairs, they found the kitchen already occupied. Lorenzo sat at the island, coffee in hand, looking like he hadn't slept at all. You two are up early, he said. Couldn't sleep, Alda replied. We're on a mission to find chocolate. Pantry, third shelf. Don't tell the cook I told you that. Lorenzo's eyes were on Leo. You okay, Piccolo? Leo nodded, didn't let go of Alda's hand. Something flickered across Lorenzo's face. Hurt, maybe, or jealousy. I'll make pancakes, he said abruptly. You like pancakes, Leo? Leo hesitated, then nodded. Good, sit. Lorenzo moved to the stove with surprising efficiency. Alda, coffee. Please, Aski. She sat at the island, Leo climbing onto the stool beside her, and the boy's hand still gripped hers under the counter. Lorenzo worked in silence, mixing batter, heating the griddle. The domesticity of it felt surreal, like they were a normal family having a normal morning. Not a mafia boss, a traumatized child, and the woman hired to fix what was broken. How was last night? Lorenzo asked without turning around. He had a nightmare at 3. We worked through it. And then we talked. Well, I talked. He listened. Alda glanced at Leo. We're making progress. In one night, in every moment we choose to show up. She accepted the coffee Lorenzo slid across the counter. Trust takes time, but it's building. Lorenzo flipped a pancake with more force than necessary. He doesn't trust me. He's scared of you, Alda corrected gently. That's different. How? Trust is about safety. Fear is about unpredictability. She kept her voice low. Every time you walk into a room, Lorenzo, you're a reminder of the world that killed his mother. The violence, the danger, the chaos. I would never hurt him, but you might get hurt, and then he'd lose you too. She set down her coffee. That's what he's afraid of. Not you. Losing you. Lorenzo's hands stilled on the spatula. He turned slowly, looked at his son. Is that true, Piccolo? Are you afraid I'll leave you? Leo's eyes filled with tears. He nodded. Oh, Bambino. Lorenzo abandoned the pancakes, came around the island, and dropped to his knees in front of Leo's stool. I'm not going anywhere, I promise you. No matter what happens, no matter who comes after us, I will always, always come back to you. Leo's lip trembled. He reached out, touched his father's face with one small hand. I love you, Lorenzo whispered. More than anything in this world. Do you understand? Leo nodded. Then he did something that made Alda's heart stop. He leaned forward and wrapped his arms around his father's neck. Lorenzo's eyes closed. His arms came up, held his son like he might disappear. Ti amo, he breathed. Ti amo così tanto. Alda turned away, gave them privacy, poured herself more coffee she didn't need, and blinked back tears she couldn't explain. Behind her, she heard Leo's breathing even out, heard Lorenzo's quiet murmurs in Italian, heard something that sounded like healing starting to take root. The pancakes burned. None of them cared. Later that afternoon, Marco found Alda in the library. Miss Romano, a word. She looked up from the trauma therapy textbook she'd been reviewing. What's wrong? Nothing. Yet. Marco closed the door behind him. But I need you to understand something about the family you've joined. I haven't joined anything. I'm here for Leo. You're living in Lorenzo Moretti's house, eating his food, taking his money, sleeping 20 feet from his son. Marco's voice was flat. You've joined whether you meant to or not. Alda set down the book. What's your point? My point is that people are watching. Lorenzo's enemies, his rivals, every mobster in Chicago who wants to see him weak. Marco moved closer. And you're a weakness now. You and Leo both. I can take care of myself. Can you take care of Leo when armed men break down that door, when they put a gun to his head and demand Lorenzo's surrender? Marco's eyes were hard, because that's what's coming. Maybe not today, maybe not this week, but it's coming. Then why did Lorenzo hire me if I'm such a liability? Because he's desperate. Because he'd rather risk your life than watch his son suffer one more day. Marco's jaw tightened, but desperation makes people careless, and careless people die. You're trying to scare me. I'm trying to prepare you. He pulled something from his jacket, a small handgun. Take this. Absolutely not. It's not a request. I don't care. I'm not bringing a weapon around Leo. Alda stood up. He's traumatized by violence. Having a gun in his space would destroy every bit of progress we've made. Having you dead would destroy him worse. The words hit like a slap. Alda stared at Marco. Has something happened? A specific threat. 3 threats this week. Phone calls to the house. Someone left a dead rat on the front gate with a note attached. Marco's voice never changed tone. The note said the boy is next. Ice flooded Alda's veins. Does Lorenzo know? Of course he knows. Why do you think he's been sleeping in his office? He's monitoring the security feeds all night. He told me he doesn't interfere with my work. He lied. Marco gestured to the corner of the room. Alda followed his gaze and saw a small camera barely visible behind a book on the shelf. He's watching us. Fury replaced the fear. He's been watching Leo's sessions. He's watching everything. The house, the grounds, Leo's room, your room. My room, Alda's voice rose. Are you telling me Lorenzo Moretti has been watching me in my bedroom? For security purposes only, I reviewed the feeds myself. He fast-forwards through anything private. Oh, how noble of him. Alda headed for the door. Where is he? Miss Romano, I wouldn't. But Alda was already gone, fury propelling her down the hallway toward Lorenzo's office. She didn't knock, just shoved the door open hard enough to make it bang against the wall. Lorenzo looked up from his laptop, completely unsurprised. I was wondering when Marco would tell you. You've been spying on me. I've been protecting you. By violating my privacy, by watching me change clothes, by listening to every word I say to your son, I told you I fast-forward through. I don't care what you fast-forward through. Alda slammed her hands on his desk. You promised me autonomy. You promised me boundaries. You lied. I did what I had to do to keep you safe. No, you did what you wanted to do because you're a control freak who doesn't trust anyone. She leaned across the desk. Well, here's some news, Lorenzo. Trust goes both ways, and you just destroyed every bit of it. Lorenzo stood slowly. Someone left a dead rat on my gate this morning, with a note threatening my son. So forgive me if I decided your privacy was less important than his life. Then you should have told me. You should have brought me into the decision instead of hiding cameras and lying to my face. Would you have stayed if I'd told you? The question hung in the air. Yes, Alda said quietly, I would have, because I made a commitment to Leo, and I keep my commitments. Something shifted in Lorenzo's expression. You really mean that? Of course I do. Did you think I was here just for the money? Everyone's here for something. Well, I'm here for a traumatized 8-year-old who deserves better than parents who spy on him. She straightened up. Remove the cameras from Leo's room and mine. Today, or I walk. Alda, today Lorenzo, or I'm gone and you can explain to your son why the first person he's trusted in over a year just disappeared. Lorenzo's jaw clenched. The house is still being monitored. Common areas, hallways, exterior. Fine, but not our private spaces. If something happens, then you deal with it like everyone else in the world deals with it, by actually talking to people instead of watching them on a screen. Alda moved toward the door. And Lorenzo, next time you want to protect me, try asking me first. I might surprise you. She left before he could respond, her heart hammering against her ribs. In the hallway, Marco waited. Feel better, he asked dryly. No, but at least I said my piece. She glared at him. And if you tell me you agree with him, I don't. Lorenzo's paranoia is going to get someone killed. Marco fell into step beside her. But for what it's worth, he's terrified of losing Leo, of something happening to you, of failing to keep his family safe again. I'm not his family. Aren't you? Marco stopped at the base of the stairs. You held his son through a nightmare. You sat with him while he grieved his wife. You told him off in his own office and lived to tell about it. That makes you family whether you like it or not. I'm an employee. You stopped being an employee the moment Leo grabbed your hand and wouldn't let go. Marco's expression softened slightly. Just be careful, Miss Romano. Lorenzo doesn't let people in. But when he doesn't let them go either. Is that a warning? It's a fact. Marco headed back toward Lorenzo's office. Oh, and Miss Romano, the cameras will be gone by dinner. He's already calling the tech team. Alda stood alone in the hallway, Marco's words echoing in her head. He doesn't let them go. She wasn't sure if that comforted her or terrified Irma. Upstairs, she found Leo in his room drawing. He looked up when she entered, smiled that small, fragile smile she was learning to treasure. Hey, sweetheart, what you working on? Leo showed her the page. 3 figures, a woman, a man, and a small boy. The woman and boy were holding hands. The man stood slightly apart watching. Is that us? Alda asked softly. Leo nodded. It's beautiful. She sat beside him. But why is your dad so far away? Leo's pencil moved. He drew a line from the man to the boy, then another from the man to the woman, connecting them. You want him closer? Another nod. Then maybe we can work on that. Together. Alda put her arm around Leo's shoulders. But it's going to take time, and patience, and a lot of trust. Can you do that? Leo leaned into her, nodded against her shoulder. That's my brave boy. They sat like that for a long time watching the afternoon sun paint golden squares on the floor. And for the first time since Alda had walked into Lorenzo Moretti's dangerous world, she felt something that might have been hope. But hope, she was learning, was a fragile thing. And in Lorenzo's world, fragile things didn't last long. The man watching from the street made sure of that. He raised his camera, snapped a photo of Alda and Leo silhouetted in the window and sent it to a number he'd been paid very well to remember. The response came 30 seconds later. Perfect. Now we know who to take. The first sign something was wrong came 3 days later when Leo refused to go near the windows. What's wrong, sweetheart? Alda asked, kneeling beside him. He'd been reaching for his colored pencils on the window seat when he suddenly jerked back, breathing hard. Leo shook his head frantically, back toward the center of the room. Did you see something outside? He wouldn't answer, just kept shaking his head, eyes wide with terror that had nothing to do with old memories. Alda moved to the window, looked out. The street below was empty. Normal, nothing out of place. But Leo's panic was real. Okay, we'll stay away from the windows. She guided him to his bed, sat beside him. Can you tell me what scared you? Leo grabbed his journal, wrote with shaking hands. Someone watching. Ice shot down Alda's spine. When just now, yesterday, and today, same man. What did he look like? Leo drew quickly. A man in a dark jacket, camera around his neck, standing across the street. Did you tell your dad? Leo shook his head. Didn't want him to worry. Leo, listen to me. This is exactly the kind of thing your dad needs to know about. Alda stood, headed for the door. Stay here. Don't go near the windows. I'll be right back. She found Lorenzo in his office on the phone. He took one look at her face and ended the call. What happened? Someone's been watching the house, watching Leo. She handed him the drawing. He saw him yesterday and again today. Same man with a camera. Lorenzo's expression went to stone. He pressed a button on his desk. Marco, my office, now. Marco appeared in 30 seconds. Lorenzo showed him the drawing. Check the street cameras. Last 48 hours. Find him. On it, Marco was gone. Is Leo okay? Lorenzo asked. He's scared. More scared than I've seen him since the restaurant. Alda crossed her arms. How much danger are we actually in, Lorenzo? And don't lie to me this time. Significant. The Russians have been quiet for too long. That usually means they're planning something. He moved to the window, looked out with the practiced paranoia of a man who'd survived 3 assassination attempts. But they've never gone after children before. That's not their style. Maybe they've changed their style. Maybe. His jaw clenched. I'm moving you both to the safe house tonight. No, Lorenzo turned. That wasn't a suggestion. Leo just started feeling safe here. Moving him will trigger a massive setback. Alda held his gaze. Besides, running just tells them they've won. I don't care about winning. I care about keeping you alive. The way he said you made something flutter in Alda's chest. She pushed it down. Then increase security. Add more guards. Whatever you need to do, but we're staying. You're being stubborn. I'm being practical. She moved closer. Leo needs stability right now. Consistency. Running away is the opposite of that. And if they attack, then we deal with it. Together. She put her hand on his arm without thinking. I trust you to keep us safe, Lorenzo. Do you trust me to know what Leo needs? He looked down at her hand on his arm. When his eyes met hers again, something had shifted in them. I'm doubling the guards. No one gets within 100 yards of this house. Okay. And you both stay away from windows. All windows. Until we find this guy. Done. And Alda, his hand covered hers. If anything happens, if you see anything suspicious, you come to me immediately. No trying to handle it yourself. I'm not stupid. No, you're brave. Which is worse, Mr. Army. His thumb brushed across her knuckles. Brave people take risks, and risks get people killed. Is that what happened to Isabella? She took a risk. Lorenzo's hand tightened on hers. She insisted on driving herself to Leo's school that day. I told her to take Marco. She said she wasn't a prisoner, that she could run her own errands. His voice went hollow. The bomb was under the driver's seat. She died before the car even stopped rolling. Lorenzo. So yes, Alda, brave people take risks. And sometimes those risks destroy everything. He pulled his hand away. Don't be brave. Be smart. Please. The please got her again. It always did. I'll be smart, she promised, but I'm not running, and neither is Leo. Marco burst through the door, laptop in hand. Found him, Gregor Volkov, Russian mob. Low-level enforcer, mostly surveillance work. Where is he now? Gone. Last spotted 2 hours ago, heading south on I-90. Marco turned the laptop around. The screen showed a grainy photo of a man matching Leo's drawing. But boss, there's more. He's been here for 6 days. Not 2. We just didn't catch him until Leo spotted him. 6 days. Lorenzo's voice went deadly quiet. And we're only learning about this now. He was good, stayed off camera angles blended with pedestrians. The only reason we found him is because Leo's drawing gave us a time frame to search. Lorenzo looked at Alda. Your son may have just saved your lives. He's not my son, Alda said automatically. Isn't he? Lorenzo moved toward the door. Marco, I want eyes on every Russian asset in the city. If they breathe wrong, I want to know about it. Already on it. And find Gregor Volkov. I want to have a conversation with him about his photography hobby. The way Lorenzo said conversation made Alda's stomach turn. She knew exactly what that meant. Don't kill him, she said. Both men looked at her like she'd lost her mind. He's a surveillance guy, low level, which means someone hired him. Alda stepped forward. Let him lead you to whoever's really behind this. Or I could make him tell me. And tip them off that you know they're watching smart. She crossed her arms. I'm not naive, Lorenzo. I know what you do. But right now, information is more valuable than revenge. Lorenzo studied her for a long moment. Then to Marco. Follow Volkov. Don't engage. I want to know where he goes, who he talks to, who's pulling his strings. Marco nodded and left. Alda waited until they were alone. Thank you. Don't thank me. If he so much as looks at this house again, I'm putting a bullet in his skull. Fair enough. Lorenzo's phone buzzed. He glanced at it, frowned. I need to take this. Go, I'll stay with Leo. But as Alda headed upstairs, she couldn't shake the feeling that they were missing something. Something important. She found Leo exactly where she'd left him, sitting cross-legged on his bed with his journal. He looked up when she entered, eyes questioning. Your dad's handling it. The man won't be back. She sat beside him. You did really well telling me about him. That was very brave. Leo wrote quickly. Is Dad mad at me? What? No. Why would he be mad? Because I didn't tell him first. Leo, your dad isn't mad. He's scared. For you, for me, for all of us. Alda put her arm around his shoulders. Sometimes when people are scared, they act angry, but that's not what's really happening inside. Leo leaned into her, wrote again. Are you scared? Honestly, yeah, a little bit. She squeezed his shoulder. But I'm also confident, because your dad that is very good at keeping people safe, and because you and I are a team, right? Leo nodded against her arm. So we're going to stick together, stay smart, and trust your dad to do what he does best. Kill people. Alda's breath caught. Did he tell you that he kills people? I'm not stupid. I know what he is. You're definitely not stupid. Alda chose her words carefully. Your dad does things he's not proud of. Things he probably wishes you never had to know about. But he does them to protect his family. To protect you. Does that make it okay? I don't know, Alda admitted. I really don't. But I do know he loves you more than anything in this world. And sometimes love makes people do terrible things. Leo was quiet for a long time. Then he wrote, Do you love us? The question hit Alda like a physical blow. Leo, you don't have to say it. I just wondered. I care about you very much, Alda said carefully. You've become incredibly important to me in a very short time. But you'll leave when the 6 months are up. That was the agreement. Agreements can change. Alda looked at this too wise 8-year-old and felt her heart crack. Sometimes they can, sometimes they can't. Leo nodded slowly, set down his journal. Then he did something that destroyed her. He curled up against her side head on her shoulder and just existed there. Alda wrapped both arms around him and held on. I'm not going anywhere right now, she whispered. I promise. They stayed like that until dinner, when Lorenzo knocked on the door. Time to eat, he said quietly. Then seeing them curled together, should I come back? No, we're coming. Alda started to stand, but Leo's hand shot out, grabbed Lorenzo's. Lorenzo froze, looked down at his son's small hand gripping his own. Piccolo, Leo tugged, insistent. You want me to stay? A nod. Lorenzo sat on Leo's other side, and for several minutes the three of them just sat there. A broken family trying to figure out how to fit together. I'm sorry, Lorenzo said finally, for bringing this danger to you both, for not protecting you better. Leo released his hand, picked up his journal. It's not your fault. It is. Every bit of it. No, Leo wrote harder, underlining the word. Bad people did bad things. That's not you. Lorenzo's eyes went wet. When did you get so smart? I've always been smart. You just weren't listening. The blunt honesty of it made Lorenzo laugh, a broken sound that was half sob. You're right. I wasn't listening, but I am now. I promise I am now. Leo leaned across Alda, wrapped his arms around his father's neck. Lorenzo held his son and cried quietly, and Alda tried very hard not to feel like she was intruding on something sacred. Dinner was tense. The dining room felt too big, too exposed. Every sound made Alda jump. Every shadow through the windows made her heart race. Lorenzo noticed. We can eat in the kitchen if you'd prefer. No, I'm fine. You're shaking. Alda looked down. Her hands trembled around her fork. Adrenaline crash. It happens. It happens when you've been scared out of your mind and are pretending you're fine. Lorenzo signaled to Marco, who appeared instantly. Move dinner to my office and close all the curtains in the house. That's not necessary. It wasn't a suggestion. Lorenzo stood, held out his hand. Come on. Alda let him pull her up. Leo followed, staying close to both of them. Lorenzo's office was smaller, darker, safer. The heavy curtains were already drawn. No windows. One door, easy to defend. They ate sitting on the floor around Lorenzo's coffee table, which somehow made everything feel less formal, less scary. Tell me about your family, Lorenzo said suddenly. Alda looked up surprised. Why? Because I know nothing about you except that you're a trauma therapist who works in a restaurant and has student loans. He refilled her wine glass. Who is Alda Romano when she's not saving my son? There isn't an Alda Romano outside of work. Hasn't been in a long time. Why not? Because grief is expensive and time-consuming, and I didn't have room for both healing and living, so I chose healing. She took a sip of wine. My brother died. My grandmother died 6 months later. My mother retreated into her own grief and stopped seeing me. So I threw myself into school, into work, into other people's trauma, so I wouldn't have to face my own. And now I'm here, with you, with Leo, and I don't know what that means. Lorenzo held her gaze. It means you are not alone anymore. The weight of those words settled over her like a blanket, warm, terrifying. I don't know how to not be alone, she admitted. Neither do I. He glanced at Leo, who was drawing quietly beside them. But I'm learning. Leo suddenly shoved his journal between them. He'd drawn the three of them, more detailed this time. Alda and Lorenzo sitting close, both of them looking at Leo. A family. Is this what you want, Piccolo? Lorenzo asked softly. The three of us together. Leo nodded emphatically. What if Alda doesn't want that? Leo's face fell. He looked at Alda with such naked hope it hurt. I didn't say I don't want it, Alda said carefully. I said I don't know what it means. It means you stay, Leo wrote, past 6 months. Forever. Leo, sweetheart, it's not that simple. Why not? Because your dad and I barely know each other. Because this world he lives in is dangerous. Because I'm not. She stopped, reconsidered. Because forever is a really long time. So is being alone. The truth of it hit her square in the chest. She looked at Lorenzo, found him watching her with an intensity that made her skin warm. What do you want? She asked him. I want my son to be happy. To be whole. Lorenzo's voice dropped. And I want to stop feeling like I'm drowning every time I think about losing someone else I care about. You care about me. Is that so surprising? Yes, we've known each other 3 weeks. I knew I loved Isabella after one conversation. He smiled sadly. When you know, you know. Lorenzo, I'm not saying I love you, I'm saying I could. If you stayed, if you let yourself be part of this. He gestured to Leo. He needs you, and He stopped, started again. I need someone who calls me on my bullshit, who stands up to me, who sees the monster and stays anyway. You're not a monster. I've killed 17 people, Alda. With my own hands. I've done things that would make you sick. I'm absolutely a monster. No, you're a man who's made terrible choices in impossible situations. That's different. Is it? Yes, she met his eyes. Because monsters don't cry over their dead wives. They don't hold their traumatized sons through nightmares. They don't give a damn about some random waitress's opinion. You're not random. I was, 3 weeks ago. And now I don't know what I am. Alda stood suddenly needing space. I need to think. Take all the time you need. Lorenzo stood too. But Alda, whatever you decide, know that Leo and I will respect it. If you want to leave after 6 months, we'll let you go. No pressure, no obligation. And if I want to stay, something fierce and hungry flashed in Lorenzo's eyes. Then I'll spend every day making sure you never regret it. The promise in his voice made her shiver. She left the office quickly before she could do something stupid like kiss him. Upstairs in her room, Alda paced. Her mind raced through possibilities, consequences, futures that terrified her. She could stay, build a life here, become part of this broken family, help Leo heal, maybe even help Lorenzo heal. Or she could leave, take her money, pay her debts, start fresh somewhere safe and boring and lonely. Both options felt like cliff edges. One step in either direction and she'd be falling. Her phone buzzed, a text from an unknown number. You've gotten close to the boy. Smart, Lorenzo trusts you now. That makes the next part easier. Alda's blood went cold. She grabbed her door handle, yanked it open, and found Marco standing there, gun drawn. Don't scream, he said quietly, and don't call for Lorenzo. What are you? I'm the one who's been feeding information to the Russians. Scheduled security protocols, Leo's routine. Everything they needed to plan their attack. His gun never wavered. And tomorrow at noon, They're coming for the boy. You're going to make sure they get him. I'll never. You will. Because if you don't, I'll tell Lorenzo that you've been working with them all along. That you're the leak. That you seduced him and manipulated Leo to get close. Marco smiled coldly. Who do you think he'll believe? The woman he's known 3 weeks? Or the man who saved his life a dozen times? Alda's mind raced. Why are you doing this? Because Lorenzo killed my brother 8 years ago, and I've been waiting ever since for the perfect revenge. He stepped closer, taking his son the way he took mine. That's perfect. Poetic even. Marco, please. Here's what you're going to do. Tomorrow at 11:30, you'll take Leo to the garden, the south side near the roses. You'll keep him there for exactly 15 minutes. That's all I need. And if I refuse, then I shoot you right now, dump your body in the lake, and tell Lorenzo you ran away. He'll be heartbroken. But he'll believe me. Marco's finger moved to the trigger. What's it going to be, Miss Romano? Your life or the boy's? Alda's hands shook. Her heart hammered. Every instinct screamed at her to run, fight, do something. Instead, she said, okay, I'll do it. Marco lowered his gun slightly. Smart girl. But I need something in return. You're not in a position to negotiate. I need you to promise Leo won't be hurt. Whatever the Russians want, they can't hurt him. Can't make that promise. Then I won't do it. Alda straightened her spine. Shoot me if you want, but I won't help you hurt that child. Marco stared at her. Then slowly he nodded. Fine. They won't hurt him. They just want leverage over Lorenzo. Once he surrenders, Leo goes free. You're lying. Maybe, but it's the best offer you're going to get. He stepped back. 11:30 tomorrow. South Garden. Don't be late. He left. Alda stood frozen, her mind screaming. She had to tell Lorenzo. Had to warn him. Had to. But if she told Lorenzo, Marco would know. Would trigger whatever backup plan he had, and Leo would die. If she didn't tell Lorenzo and went along with Marco's plan, Leo would be kidnapped. Maybe killed. There was no good choice. No right answer. Unless Alda grabbed her phone, opened a new message to Lorenzo, and typed fast. Marco is the leak. Russians attacking tomorrow at noon. South Garden. He's forcing me to bring Leo there. Don't let on that you know. I'll try to keep Leo safe. Trust me. Please trust me. She hit send. 5 seconds later, Lorenzo appeared in her doorway. Tell me everything, he said. And Alda did. Lorenzo closed the door behind him with a soft click that sounded louder than a gunshot. His face was completely blank, the kind of blank that meant violence was coming. From the beginning, he said, every word. Alda told him about Marco's visit, the gun, the ultimatum, about the South Garden at 11:30, about Marco's brother and 8 years of revenge waiting to strike. Lorenzo listened without interrupting. When she finished, he pulled out his phone and typed something fast. What are you doing? Telling my men to lock down the house. Nobody in or out until this is over. He pocketed the phone. Marco's working the night shift. He won't know anything's changed until tomorrow morning. And then what he'll know, I told you, he'll kill me. He won't get the chance. Lorenzo's voice went cold. But we need to play this carefully. If Marco suspects, we know he'll move up the timeline or abort completely. And then we'll never find out who else is involved. You think there are others? Marco's not smart enough to pull this off alone. Someone higher up the chain is feeding him orders. Lorenzo moved to her window, checked the street below. We use tomorrow to draw them all out. End this permanently. By using Leo as bait, Alda's voice rose. Absolutely not. Not Leo, you. He turned to face her. You take a doll to the garden. Something about Leo's size wrapped in his jacket. Keep your back to the house. They won't know it's not him until they're close enough for us to grab them. And if they shoot first, they won't. They need him alive for leverage. Lorenzo crossed his arms. But you need to sell it. Act natural, like you're really bringing him out there. I'm not an actress, Lorenzo. You convinced me you were fine when you were terrified at dinner. You're better than you think. He moved closer. Can you do this? Alda's hands were shaking again. She pressed them against her thighs. What about Marco? Leave Marco to me. Something dark moved behind Lorenzo's eyes. He's been in my family for 15 years, saved my life in Detroit, held Leo when he was born. His voice cracked slightly. And he's been planning to destroy me the entire time. Lorenzo, I trusted him with everything. My business, my son, my life. He turned away. How did I miss it? Because he wanted you to miss it. Because that's what good liars do. Alda touched his shoulder carefully. This isn't your fault. Everything is my fault. He shrugged off her hand. Isabella, Leo's trauma, this entire nightmare. I built this world and now everyone I love pays for it. Then tear it down. Lorenzo spun to face her. What? After tomorrow when this is over, tear it all down. Walk away, take Leo somewhere safe, and just be his father. Alda held his gaze. You have enough money to disappear. Start over. Be someone new. You think it's that simple? I think it's that necessary. She stepped closer. Because if you don't, there will always be another Marco, another threat, another person trying to take Leo from you. And eventually they'll succeed. Lorenzo's voice went hollow. I know. So change it while you still can. And what about you? His eyes searched hers. Would you come with us if we ran? The question hung between them like a live wire. I don't know, Alda whispered. Ask me after tomorrow, when we're all still alive. That's not an answer. It's the only one I have right now. Lorenzo's phone buzzed. He checked it, frowned. My men are in position. House is locked down. Marco doesn't suspect anything. What did you tell him? Nothing. He's at this north gate. By the time he realizes something's wrong tomorrow, it'll be too late. He pocketed the phone. Get some sleep. Tomorrow's going to be hell. I can't sleep. Then lie down and pretend. He headed for the door. And Alda, thank you for trusting me with this, for not trying to handle it alone. Where else would I go? She asked quietly. You're all I have now. The admission clearly surprised him. We're all you have. What about your mother, your friends? My mother stopped talking to me after my grandmother died. And my friends gave up when I stopped showing up to things because I was too busy working 3 jobs to pay off loans. Alda sat on her bed, suddenly exhausted. So yeah, you and Leo, that's it. That's my whole world now. Lorenzo stood in the doorway for a long moment. Then he came back in, sat beside her on the bed, and pulled her against his chest. Then we'll make damn sure nothing happens to that world, he said into her hair. Alda let herself lean into him, let herself be held, let herself for just a moment pretend this was normal, safe, real. I'm scared, she whispered. Good. Scared keeps you sharp. His arms tightened around her. But I need you to channel that fear tomorrow. He did. Don't let it freeze you. What if I mess up? What if they realize it's not Leo and shoot me anyway? Then I kill every single person involved and burn their world to ash. He said it so calmly it was terrifying. But that's not going to happen because you're going to be perfect and I'm going to have 20 guns trained on that garden. Nobody dies tomorrow except the people who deserve it. You can't promise that. Watch me. He held her until her shaking stopped, until her breathing evened out, until she finally fell asleep against his shoulder, exhausted from fear and adrenaline. When she woke, dawn was breaking through her windows and Lorenzo was gone. But there was a note on her nightstand. Breakfast at 8. Act normal. We've got this. L, act normal. Right. Like her heart wasn't trying to beat out of her chest. Like she wasn't about to walk into an ambush with a doll dressed as an 8-year-old boy. Alda showered dressed, tried to make her hands stop shaking. Failed. Downstairs, she found Leo at the breakfast table drawing. He looked up when she entered, smiled that small smile that wrecked her every time. Morning, sweetheart. Her voice came out too bright, too fake. Leo's smile faded. He wrote in his journal. What's wrong? Nothing. Just didn't sleep well. You're lying. I'm not. Alda stopped, sat down beside him. You're right. I am lying, but I can't tell you why. Not yet. Leo's eyes went wide with fear. Is it Dad? Is he hurt? No, your dad's fine, I promise. Then what? Something's happening today, something that might be scary, but your dad and I are handling it. She took his hand. I need you to trust me. Can you do that? Leo studied her face for a long moment, then nodded slowly. Good. Now I need you to stay in your room this morning. Don't come out, no matter what you hear. Okay. Why? Because I'm asking you to. Please, Leo. He pulled his hand away, wrote furiously. You're scaring me. I know, I'm sorry, but I need you to do this for me. Stay in your room, lock the door. Don't open it for anyone except me or your dad. Alda squeezed his shoulder. Promise me. Leo's lip trembled, but he nodded. Lorenzo appeared in the doorway. Morning. His eyes met Alda's. She saw the question there. Did you tell him? She shook her head slightly. Leo, finish your breakfast and then go get ready for your session with Alda. Lorenzo's voice was steady normal. We're going to work in the garden today. Get some fresh air. Leo's head snapped up. He looked between them, understanding dawning in his eyes. It's fine, Alda said quickly. Just a change of scenery. But Leo was already writing. The garden, the place I drew where the man was watching. Damn, this kid was too smart. That's why we're going there, to prove there's nothing to be scared of. Lorenzo sat down across from his son. Sometimes we need to face the things that frighten us. Show them they don't have power over us anymore. Or walk into a trap. Lorenzo's mask slipped for just a second. What makes you think it's a trap? Because you're both terrible liars. Because Alda's hands are shaking. Because you're being too calm. Leo's writing got harder, angrier. What's really happening? Alda and Lorenzo exchanged looks. They couldn't tell him. If Leo knew him, if he acted differently, Marco would notice. But lying to him felt like a betrayal. Some bad people are trying to hurt us, Alda said finally. Your dad and I are stopping them, but we need you to stay safe while we do. By going to the garden, that doesn't make sense. It doesn't have to make sense. It just has to work. Lorenzo leaned forward. I need you to trust me, Piccolo. Trust that I would never put you in danger. Trust that Alda and I know what we're doing. Then let me help. Absolutely not. I'm not a baby. Leo threw his pencil across the table. I'm the one they want. I should be part of the plan. You are 8 years old. And I'm not stupid. Leo's silent rage filled the room. Stop protecting me from everything. Stop treating me like I'll break. The outburst shocked them both. Leo had been so quiet, so passive for so long. This fury was new, raw, real. You're right, Alda said quietly. We are treating you like you'll break. Because we're terrified you will. Because we love you. Leo's anger deflated slightly. You love me. Yes. So much it scares me. She pulled him into her arms, which is why we can't risk you. Why we need you safe. Why we need you to stay in your room while we handle this. Leo pulled back, wrote with shaking hands. What if you don't come back? We will. You can't promise that. You're right, I can't. Alda cupped his face. But I can promise that we'll fight like hell to make it back to you. That we'll do everything in our power to end this and keep you safe. Is that enough? Leo's eyes filled with tears. He nodded. Then go to your room, lock the door, and whatever happens, whatever you hear, don't come out until we come get you. She kissed his forehead. I love you, brave boy. Leo hugged her hard. Then he turned to his father. Lorenzo knelt down. I'm sorry, Piccolo, for all of this, for the danger, for the fear, for not being the father you deserved. Leo shook his head, wrote one word, love. I love you too. More than my own life. Lorenzo's voice broke. And when this is over, we're leaving. All of us. Somewhere safe. Somewhere far away from all this violence and death. Would you like that? Leo nodded frantically. Then give me today. Let me fix this one last thing. And then we start over. Clean slate. New life. Lorenzo pulled his son into his arms. Ti amo mio figlio. Ti amo per sempre. Leo clung to him for a long moment. Then he pulled back, grabbed his journal, and ran from the room. Alda and Lorenzo sat in the kitchen listening to his footsteps fade up the stairs. The door to his room slammed. The lock clicked. He knows something's wrong, Alda said. He's too smart for his own good. Lorenzo stood, checked his watch. 11 o'clock. We've got 90 minutes. Where's Marco? Southgate, watching the street. Lorenzo's jaw tightened. My men have him under surveillance. The second he moves, we'll know. And the doll. In my office. I had it dressed in Leo's jacket, added some weight so it feels real. He headed for the door. Let's go. In Lorenzo's office, the doll was eerily convincing. Same size as Leo, same build, wearing his favorite blue jacket and jeans. This is insane, Alda whispered. This is survival. Lorenzo handed her an earpiece. Put this in. I'll be listening the entire time. If anything goes wrong, if you feel threatened at all, you say the word sunshine, and we come running. Sunshine, got it. And Alda, he caught her hand. You don't have to do this. I can find another way. There is no other way. We draw them out, or they keep coming. She squeezed his fingers. I can do this. I know you can. Doesn't mean I like it. Then don't like it. Just keep me alive. Lorenzo pulled her close, kissed her forehead. Come back to me. And to Leo. We need you. I need you too, she whispered. At 11:25, Alda walked toward the south garden with the doll in her arms. She'd wrapped it in a blanket, positioned it so the face wasn't visible. From a distance, it looked exactly like she was carrying a sleeping child. Her earpiece crackled. I see you, Lorenzo's voice said. You're doing great. Just keep walking. Alda's heart hammered. Every step felt like walking toward her own execution. 15 yards to the roses. Marco's at the south gate watching you through binoculars. Can he tell it's not Leo? She murmured. Not from that angle. Keep going. Alda reached the roses, set the doll down carefully on a bench, arranging the blanket like she was settling a sleeping child. Beautiful, Lorenzo said in her ear. Now act like you're sitting with him, checking his breathing. Natural. She sat beside the doll, touched its shoulder gently. From Marco's position, it would look like she was comforting Leo. Movement. South wall. 3 men climbing over. Lorenzo's voice sharpened. Stay calm. Don't run. Act like you don't see them. Alda's breath caught. She forced herself to keep her hand on the doll's shoulder, to stay seated, to look relaxed. They're 30 yards out, armed. 2 pistols, 1 rifle. Lorenzo's voice stayed steady. 20 yards. Alda, when I say run, you drop the doll and sprint for the house. Don't look back. Understand? Yes. 15 yards. They're separating. 2 heading for you, 1 going wide. Probably trying to cut off your escape route. Alda's muscles tensed, ready to bolt. 10 yards. Get ready. She could hear them now. Footsteps on grass. Hushed Russian voices. 5 yards. Run. Alda dropped the doll and ran. Behind her, shouting erupted. Gunfire exploded. She didn't look back. Just ran harder than she'd ever run in her life, legs pumping, lungs burning. More gunfire. Closer. Something whizzed past her head. A bullet. Sunshine, she screamed. The garden erupted. Lorenzo's men poured from the house, weapons blazing. The Russians dove for cover, returned fire. Alda hit the ground, covering her head. Bullets tore through the air above her. Stay down, Lorenzo's voice shouted in her ear. We've got you. But through the chaos, she heard something else. A sound that made her blood freeze. Leo screaming, not silent, actually screaming. She looked up, saw him in his window, mouth open, sound finally pouring out after 14 months of silence. Dad, Alda, no. And then the window exploded. Marco stood in Leo's room, gun to the boy's head. Cease fire, he shouted, or the kid dies right now. Everything stopped. The Russians, Lorenzo's men, the entire world seemed to freeze. Lorenzo emerged from the house, hands raised. Marco, don't do this. Don't do this. You killed my brother Lorenzo, 14 years old, shot him in the head and dumped him in the river. Marco's voice shook with rage. And you don't even remember, do you? He was just another body to you. Your brother was selling heroin to elementary school kids. He needed to be stopped. He needed help. He was a kid, my kid. Marco pressed the gun harder against Leo's temple. The boy's screaming had stopped, replaced by silent tears. And you executed him like he was nothing. I'm sorry, Lorenzo's voice cracked. Marco, I'm sorry. But Leo didn't do this. He's innocent. Let him go. Like you let my brother go. Marco pulled Leo backward toward the door. Here's what's going to happen. I'm taking Leo. You're going to let me walk out of here. And if anyone follows, I put a bullet in his brain. Clear. Crystal. Lorenzo's hand stayed raised. Just don't hurt him, please. He's all I have left. Should have thought about that before you destroyed my family. Marco dragged Leo toward the door. The boy struggled, but Marco was too strong. And then Leo did something that changed everything. He bit Marco's hand, hard. Marco's scream jerked back. The gun wavered. Leo twisted, grabbed the gun barrel, pushed it toward the ceiling. The gun went off. Plaster rained down. Lorenzo moved like lightning, crossed the garden, the room, everything in seconds. Tackled Marco to the ground. They fought. Brutal, violent. The gun skittered across the floor. Leo scrambled for it. His small hands closed around the grip. Stop! His voice rang out. Clear, strong, real. Both men froze. Leo stood there, gun trembling in his hands, pointed at Marco. Get away from my dad. Alda was running before she knew it. Up the stairs, down the hall, through the door. She grabbed Leo, pulled the gun from his hands. It's okay, she whispered. It's over. You're safe. Leo collapsed against her, finally crying out loud. Real sobs, real sound. 14 months of silence breaking all at once. Lorenzo got to his feet, breathing hard. Blood ran from his nose. Marco lay on the floor unconscious. Is he? Alda couldn't finish. Alive, barely. Lorenzo moved to them, pulled both of them into his arms. You're okay, both of you. You're okay. The Russians, Alda asked. Dead or captured? He kissed Leo's head. It's over, Piccolo. It's all over. But Leo pulled back, looked at his father with tear-stained eyes, and spoke. Actually spoke. Promise. His voice was rough from disuse. Broken, beautiful. Lorenzo's face crumbled. I promise. No more danger. No more violence. We're done. And Alda stays. Leo looked at her. You promised we'd be a family. Alda's throat closed. She looked at Lorenzo, found him watching her with desperate hope. I stay, she whispered. If you'll have me. If we'll. Lorenzo laughed, wet and broken. Alda, you just risked your life for us. You stood between my son and a bullet. Of course we'll have you. For as long as you'll stay. Forever then. She pulled them both close. I'm staying forever. Leo's arms wrapped around both of them. I love you, he said. Clear, perfect, real. Both of you, so much. We love you too, brave boy, Alda whispered. So much it hurts. They stood there in the wreckage of Leo's room, holding each other while sirens wailed in the distance. A family forged in trauma and violence and desperate love. Broken, but together, and that was enough. The police took 3 hours to process the scene. 3 hours of questions Alda answered on autopilot while Leo sat in her lap, refusing to let go. His voice had returned, but he'd gone silent again, not from trauma this time, but from exhaustion. From finally releasing 14 months of screaming into one devastating moment. Miss Romano, can you confirm that Marco Castellano held the child at gunpoint? The detective's pen hovered over his notepad. Yes, gun to Leo's head. He was going to kill him. Alda's arms tightened around the boy. Lorenzo stopped him. By beating him unconscious. By saving his son's life. The detective's eyes flicked to Lorenzo, who sat across the room with blood still drying on his face. Mr. Moretti, you're claiming self-defense. I'm claiming my head of security betrayed me, tried to kidnap my son, and nearly murdered the woman I love. Lorenzo's voice was ice. What would you call that? The detective's eyebrows shot up at the woman I love, but he kept writing. And the 3 Russian nationals found dead in your garden. Trespassers, armed, my security team responded appropriately. Appropriately, right. The detective closed his notepad. You're all going to need to come down to the station for official statements. Tomorrow, Lorenzo said. It wasn't a question. My son just got his voice back after over a year. He needs rest, stability, not a police station. Mr. Moretti. Tomorrow, or I call my lawyers and we do this the hard way. Lorenzo stood. Your choice, detective. The detective looked like he wanted to argue. Then he glanced at Leo, curled in Alda's arms, and his expression softened. Tomorrow, 9 a.m. Don't make me come looking for you. When the police finally left, when the bodies were removed and the blood was cleaned up and the house fell quiet, Lorenzo collapsed onto the couch beside Alda. Is it really over? She asked quietly. The Russians are done. Marco's going to prison for the rest of his life. And I just handed the detective enough evidence to shut down 3 rival operations. He rubbed his eyes. So yeah, it's over. What about your business? What about it? You told Leo you were getting out. Was that true or just something to calm him down? Lorenzo looked at his son, who'd finally fallen asleep against Alda's chest. It was true. I'm done. With all of it. You can't just walk away from the mob, Lorenzo. Watch me. He stood moved to the window. I've been planning my exit for 2 years. Ever since Isabella died. I just needed the right catalyst. And Marco was it. No, you were. He turned to face her. You walked into my life 3 weeks ago and showed me what I was missing. What Leo was missing. A real family. Real love. A life that doesn't involve looking over my shoulder every second. Lorenzo, I'm in love with you, Alda. The words came out raw, honest. I know it's too fast. I know we barely know each other. But I've spent my entire life making calculated decisions, weighing risks, playing it safe. And where did that get me? My wife dead, my son traumatized, my best friend trying to murder us all. So what are you saying? I'm saying I'm done being careful, done calculating, done waiting. He moved closer. I want you. I want a life with you and Leo. I want to wake up every morning without wondering if it's my last day. And I want to give Leo a childhood that doesn't involve bulletproof cars and armed guards. Alda's heart pounded. And you think I can give you that? I think we can give each other that. He knelt in front of her. Stay with us, not as an employee, not as Leo's therapist, as family, as my partner, as what? Her voice came out barely a whisper. As my wife, eventually. When you're ready, when we've had time to actually be a normal couple. He took her hand. But I need to know you're in this, really in this, because I can't do this halfway. Not anymore. Leo stirred against her chest, mumbled something in his sleep. He needs you, Lorenzo continued. I need you, and I hope you need us too. I do. The admission felt like jumping off a cliff. I need you both so much it terrifies me. Good. Terror means it matters. He squeezed her hand. So what do you say, want to build a life with a recovering Mafia boss and his traumatized kid? Alda laughed wet and broken. When you put it that way, how can I refuse? Lorenzo kissed her then. Soft. Careful. Like she was something precious. Something worth saving. When they pulled apart, Leo's eyes were open. Finally, he said, voice scratchy but clear. I thought you'd never kiss her. Lorenzo laughed. How long have you been awake, Piccolo? Long enough to hear you propose. Leo sat up, grinned at Alda. You said yes, right. You're staying. I said yes. She pulled him close. I'm staying forever. Promise. I promise, brave boy. Leo hugged her tight. Then he looked at his father. Can I call her Mom? The question hung in the air like a prayer. Lorenzo's eyes went wet. That's up to Alda. Alda couldn't breathe. Couldn't think. Could only feel the weight of this 8-year-old boy asking for something his real mother would never give him again. You can call me whatever feels right to you, she said carefully. Mom, Alda, whatever you want, as long as you know I love you like you're mine. But you're not going to replace my real mom. Never. Nobody could replace her. She'll always be your mom, your first mom, the one who loved you first. Alda touched his face. But maybe there's room in your heart for both of us. Leo considered this, then nodded. Mom Isabella and Mom Alda. Lorenzo made a sound halfway between a laugh and a sob. She would have loved you, he told Alda. Isabella, she would have loved how you take care of him. I wish I could have met her. She would have threatened to kill you if you ever hurt him. Lorenzo smiled sadly. Then she would have made you coffee and grilled you about your intentions. Sounds terrifying. She was, in the best way. He stood, pulled them both up. Come on, let's get out of this house. Too many bad memories here now. Where are we going? Anywhere. Hotel, different house. Hell, we can fly to Paris if you want. He picked up Leo, settled him on his hip. As long as we're together, I don't care where we end up. They packed bags, left the mansion in the hands of Lorenzo's remaining security team, drove to a hotel downtown where nobody knew their names or their history or the blood that had soaked into the South Garden. That night, they slept in one room, Lorenzo and Alda, in the bed, Leo between them. A family held together by trauma and hope and desperate, fragile love. When Alda woke, sunlight streamed through the windows and Leo was gone. She sat up fast, heart racing. Leo, shower. Lorenzo mumbled, still half asleep. Relax, he's fine. But Alda couldn't relax. Not until she heard the bathroom door open and Leo emerged damp and clean, wearing one of Lorenzo's shirts that hung to his knees. Morning, he said clearly, testing his voice, getting used to the sound of it. Morning, sweetheart. How'd you sleep? Good. No nightmares. He climbed back onto the bed. Can we get pancakes? We can get whatever you want. I want pancakes and bacon and orange juice and... He stopped, smiled. I can ask for things now, out loud. I forgot what that was like. Alda's throat tightened. You can ask for anything. Always. Can I ask why you love Dad? The question caught her off guard. Lorenzo's eyes opened suddenly, very awake. Because he loves you, Alda said honestly. Because he's a good father even when he doesn't think he is. Because he cried over your mother's paintings. Because he's trying so hard to be better. But he's killed people. Yes. Does that scare you? Sometimes. But what scares me more is a world where you and your dad aren't in my life. She looked at Lorenzo. So I choose to see the man he is now, not the man he was. What if he goes back to being that man? Then I'll drag him back out again. She said it with such certainty that Lorenzo laughed. You think you could? I know I could. You're not that scary, Moretti. I've killed 17 people. And I've dealt with tantrums from grad students hopped up on energy drinks and thesis stress. Trust me, you're manageable. Leo giggled, actually giggled. The sound was so unexpected, so pure that both adults froze. Do that again, Lorenzo whispered. Leo giggled harder. You two are weird. We're perfect, Alda corrected. Perfectly weird, as a family should be. They got pancakes, ate them in the hotel restaurant while Leo narrated everything he saw, testing his voice, making up for lost time. Every word was a gift, every sentence a miracle. Other diners stared. A child talking that much was unusual. But Alda and Lorenzo didn't care. They just listened, soaked it in, treasured every syllable. After breakfast, Lorenzo's phone rang. He checked it, frowned. I need to take this. He stepped away. Alda watched him through the window, saw his expression harden, saw him arguing with whoever was on the other end. When he came back, his face was carefully blank. What's wrong? Alda asked. The family wants a meeting. About my exit. When puer. Now, Leo's hand grabbed hers under the table. Don't go, Dad. Please. I have to piccolo, just this once, to make everything official. Lorenzo squeezed his shoulder. But then I'm done, I promise. What if they don't let you leave? Oh, they don't have a choice. But his voice wavered, just slightly. Alda stood. I'm coming with you. Absolutely not. You said we're partners. That means I don't let you walk into danger alone. She met his eyes. Besides, you need someone to remind you that you have something to come back to. Alda, I'm coming. End of discussion. Lorenzo looked like he wanted to argue. Then he glanced at Leo, saw the fear in his son's eyes, and nodded. Fine, but you stay into the car. You don't come inside. Understand? Understood. They left Leo with Lorenzo's most trusted guard, a man named Dante, who'd been with the family for 30 years and had saved Lorenzo's life in Detroit. Leo clung to Alda before she left. Come back, he whispered. Both of you, please come back. We will, she promised. I swear on everything I am, we'll come back. The drive to the meeting took 20 minutes. Lorenzo didn't speak the entire time, just gripped the steering wheel until his knuckles went white. Talk to me, Alda said quietly. I'm walking away from the only life I've ever known, the only family outside of Leo. His voice was tight. These men, they were not going to just let me go. Retirement in this world usually means a bullet to the head. Then we make sure that they understand you're more valuable alive. How so? You know things, names, operations, bank accounts? Alda turned to face him. You tell them that if anything happens to you, if you disappear or die or have a convenient accident, all of that information goes to the FBI. That's suicide. No, that's insurance. She put her hand on his arm. You're not powerless, Lorenzo. You're choosing to walk away. That's different than running scared. He pulled the car over, turned to look at her. How are you so calm? Because one of us has to be, and you're too busy being terrified. She cupped his face. You can do this. You can walk in there, tell them you're out, and walk away, and I'll be right here waiting. Lorenzo kissed her. Hard, desperate, like he was memorizing the taste of her. If something happens, nothing's going to happen. But if it does, you take Leo and you run. You use the account I set up, the one with your name on it. $2 million. enough to disappear and start over. Lorenzo, promise me, Alda. Promise me you'll take care of him if I don't not come back. I promise. She kissed him again. Now go, end this, and come back to us. Lorenzo got out of the car, walked toward a nondescript building that screamed danger despite looking completely normal. Alda waited. 5 minutes, 10, 15. At 20 minutes, gunshots rang out inside the building. Alda's heart stopped. She grabbed for the door handle. Lorenzo burst through the entrance running. Blood on his shirt, fury on his face. He dove into the car. Drive! Alda scrambled into the driver's seat, started the engine, floored it. Behind them, men poured from the building, guns raised. Bullets shattered the back window. Get down! Lorenzo shoved her head down while grabbing the wheel. The car swerved, jumped the curb, straightened out. More gunfire. The side mirror exploded. What happened? Alda screamed. They said no. Said I knew too much. Said the only way I was leaving was in a body bag. Lorenzo grabbed his phone, made a call. Dante, get Leo out of the hotel now. Take him to the cabin in Wisconsin. Don't stop. Don't tell anyone where you're going. Lorenzo, what are you doing? Protecting my son. He looked at her eyes wild. They're coming for all of us, everyone I love. This doesn't end until they're dead or I am. Then we make sure it's them. Alda's hands tightened on the wheel. Where do we go? The old factory, south side. I've got weapons there. Back up. He reloaded his gun with shaking hands. And one last card to play. The factory was abandoned, rusted, perfect for an ambush. Lorenzo led her inside down corridors that smelled like decay and old machinery. Stay here, he said, pushing her into a small office. Lock the door. Don't come out unless I come for you. I'm not hiding while you... This isn't your fight, Alda. These are my sins catching up to me. I won't let you pay for them. He kissed her forehead. I love you. Tell Leo I love him. And if I don't make it, you'll make it. She grabbed his face. You have to make it. Because Leo and I refuse to lose someone else we love. Understand? Lorenzo's eyes went wet. I'll do my best. He left. The door locked behind him. Alda stood in the small office listening to footsteps echo through the factory, voices shouting, the click of guns being cocked. Then Lorenzo's voice amplified, I'm walking away. You can let me go peacefully, or I release 14 years of financial records to the FBI. Every name, every account, every dirty deal. Your choice. Silence. Then laughter. Cold. Cruel. You're bluffing, Moretti. Am I? Lorenzo's voice stayed steady. Check your phone, all of you. Check your personal accounts. A pause, then cursing. Lots of cursing. That's right. I moved $10 million out of the family accounts into offshore holdings only I can access. Lorenzo's voice hardened. You let me walk, you get the money back. You tried to kill me, it goes to charity. Every penny. You're a dead man. Maybe, but I'm a dead man who just bankrupted your operation. Gunfire erupted. Alda pressed against the wall, hard hammering. More shots, screaming, bodies hitting the ground. Then silence. Terrible absolute silence. Alda waited. 1 minute, 2, 5. The door handle rattled. Alda, it's me. Open up. She unlocked it with shaking hands. Lorenzo stood there, blood-soaked, breathing hard. It's over. They're all dead. All of them. Every single one who came for me. He pulled her into his arms. We're free. Really free. Did you really move their money? Every dollar. And I'm giving it all back, tomorrow. With a message, Lorenzo Moretti is out. Anyone who comes after me or mine will regret it. He pulled back, looked at her. It's over, Alda. We can go home. Home to Leo. Home to our son. Lorenzo kissed her. And then we start over. New city, new name, new everything. They drove to Wisconsin through the night. Found Leo safe with Dante at a cabin hidden deep in the woods. The boy ran into their arms, crying with relief. I thought you weren't coming back, he sobbed. I thought they killed you. Never, Lorenzo whispered into his hair. I'll always come back to you, always. 6 months later, they stood in front of a courthouse in Portland, Oregon. New names, new lives, new beginning. Are you sure about this? Alda asked, looking at the marriage certificate in her hands. I've never been more sure of anything. Lorenzo, now Luca Rossi accountant and boring suburban dad, smiled at her. Are you? Ask me again in 50 years. That's not an answer. It's the only one you're getting until you put a ring on my finger. She kissed him. So let's go do this. Make it official. Become a real family. Leo, now Leon Rossi, just a regular kid who loved soccer and hated broccoli, grabbed both their hands. Can I be the ring bearer? You're the witness, sweetheart. Even better. The ceremony was simple, quick, legal. When the judge pronounced them husband and wife, Leo cheered so loud the entire courthouse heard. We did it, Alda whispered against Lorenzo's lips. We actually did it. Just the beginning, he whispered back. And it was the beginning of everything. 2 years later, they stood together at the ribbon cutting for the Moretti Center for Pediatric Speech and Trauma. Lorenzo had insisted on using his real name for the foundation, a memorial to Isabella, a promise to Leo, a testament to what they'd survived. Leo, now 10 and thriving, stepped up to the microphone. His voice rang out clear and strong across the gathered crowd. My mom died when I was 7. I stopped talking for 14 months. I thought I'd never be happy again. He looked at Alda and Lorenzo. But then Mom Alda came into our lives. She showed me it was okay to be broken. That healing doesn't mean forgetting. That love can come from the most unexpected places. Alda's eyes filled with tears. Lorenzo squeezed her hand. This center is for kids like me. Kids who lost their voices. Kids who lost people they loved. Kids who think they're too broken to fix. Leo smiled. But you're not broken, you're just healing. And this place will help you find your voice again. Just like Mom Alda helped me find mine. The crowd applauded, cameras flashed, reporters shouted questions. But Alda only saw her family. Leo brave and whole and speaking. Lorenzo free from violence and finally at peace. And herself no longer alone, no longer drowning in other people's trauma while ignoring her own. She'd walked into Lorenzo Moretti's world as a broke waitress trying to survive. She'd healed his mute son through patience and love. And in doing so, she'd healed herself. Now she stood beside him as his wife Leo's mother and the woman who had done the impossible. She'd given a mafia boss a reason to choose love over violence, family over power, redemption over revenge. The woman who started as a stranger became the heart of their family. The waitress became a queen. The healer became the healed. And when Leo ran into her arms after his speech, when Lorenzo kissed her in front of hundreds of cameras, when their family held each other tight and whole and safe, Alda knew, with absolute certainty, that every risk, every fear, every terrifying moment had been worth it. Because she'd found her family, and they'd found their way home, together.